on the line, so we want to make sure that there's no background noise as we're going through the presentation. But with that being said, there is a question section on the right-hand side of your screen there, so definitely feel free to type any questions you have as we're going through the presentation, and I'll make sure to get to all of those at the end for you, because I definitely want to take your questions if we can. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and here's the first shot of St. Kitts that you can see right here. This is our beautiful campus. As you can see, it's right on the water, so it's a beautiful setting for our 50-acre campus. But just to introduce myself, my name is Philip Jaroslaw. I'm a national director for Ross University School of Vet Medicine. My role at the school is I actually go around to different universities to educate our students about our DVM program, and then I also conduct the admissions interviews. So chances are, if you do apply to Ross, you'll probably interview with myself. I will say I've come out to Kansas State for the past few years. Obviously, we're in the world of COVID right now, so everything is virtual, but I do miss coming out to Manhattan. It's a beautiful town, a beautiful area. So, but I am happy that I'm able to present to you this way. So like I said, I'll answer any questions you have at the end of our presentation tonight. But if you have further questions down the line, this is my email and my phone number. Please feel free to take it down, and you can follow up with me, whether it's in the next couple weeks, months, depending on where you're in the application cycle. If you're just starting school, whatever the case is, please feel free to contact me with any questions you have about our program or the application process. So tonight we're going to talk about the academic program at Ross. We're going to talk what it's like living on St. Kitts, and then we're going to walk through the admissions process. So here are a couple quick facts about our DVM program to get us started. So we are based in the Caribbean on an island called St. Kitts, which is in the West Indies. Students come down to our university for 28 months to do their basic sciences. Then they come back to the US for 1 year for clinical rotations. So once a student graduates, they're actually eligible to practice in all 50 states without any restrictions. And the reason that is possible is because we are AVMA accredited. So this is the same accreditation that all state schools have. So it's the same as Kansas State, Mizzou, UC Davis, all the state schools have the AVMA accreditation. So we were actually founded in 1982. So we have nearly 6,000 alums currently practicing around the world. We do offer federal financial aid, and that can go towards your entire cost of attendance at Ross. So I'll tell you about that in a few moments. We also have 30 clinical partners around the world that you can do rotations at. 24 of those are in the States, and then we have 6 international affiliates as well. And then finally, the facilities on our campus are very technologically advanced. We're constantly making updates to campus to ensure that we're keeping up with the speed of vet medicine, but also ensuring that our students are getting the best education possible. So let me go ahead and kind of walk you through the timeline if you were to attend Ross. So we're a little unique in that we actually have a year-round program. So we have classes that sit 3 times per year, and that's in January, May, and September. So with that, you get about a 2-week break in between each class instead of having a summer break. So the program itself is 28 months on St. Kitts doing your basic sciences. So during those breaks, you can come home for your breaks, you can stay on island. Really, the time is your own for those breaks. But once you complete your first 7 semesters, then you'll come back to the US for 12 months to do your clinical rotations. And that'll be at one of our 24 affiliates back in the US or one of our 6 affiliates that are international. And during that time, everyone's going to take something called the NAVLE exam. This is also known as the North American Veterinary Licensing Examination. So this is the board exam that you must take and pass in order to practice in the States once you graduate. So, when you're looking at this is the same pathway that a US vet student would go through. The only difference is you're down in St. Kitts first doing your basic sciences. So once you finish your clinicals, then you earn your DVM, and then you're ready for licensure. And every state has different licensure exams that you'd have to take, but again, that's the same process you would go through if you were going to a state school or another school that's AVMA accredited. So now I'll tell you about some of the facilities we have on our campus, and I'll start off by saying that we really focus on a very hands-on curriculum. We find that the more hands-on work students get, the better prepared they are in the classroom, and the more prepared they are for their clinical rotations. So the hands-on training starts right in semester 1, and that starts in the clinical skills lab and the anatomy lab. So the anatomy lab, of course, you'll get to work with cadavers in very small groups, maybe 4 or 5 students per group, and a faculty or staff member with each one of those groups. And the clinical skills lab is where you're really going to develop your psychomotor skills. You're going to learn suturing techniques, and you're basically going to learn how to use all the instruments that you're going to use in surgeries and procedures. So these facilities are going to prepare you for what you're going to face in the large animal teaching facility and our small animal clinic on campus. So the large animal facility houses about 550 animals. So you have the opportunity to work with horses, with donkeys, cows, sheep, goat, really initially learning restraining techniques and how to handle these animals. But then by your 7th semester, you'll actually be required to conduct at least 6 large animal surgeries yourself as part of the curriculum. And in addition to that, we have our small animal clinic that's AAHA accredited on campus. That's a working clinic where students and faculty actually bring their pets. So again, you'll do rotations with the clinicians working there, and you'll also be required to conduct at least 2 more surgeries yourself as part of the curriculum. So before you head off to your rotations, our goal is to have 8 surgeries under your belt before you head to rotations, with the goal really being that you are practice ready by the time you start your clinicals. So let me kind of tell you about where St. Kitts is located. So we are in the West Indies in the Caribbean. These are the different airports that you can connect to get right down to St. Kitts. And when you actually get down to the island, we're going to greet you at the airport from a welcoming committee, and we help you get through customs. We get you on the van and take you right to your on-campus housing. You know, a lot of students that attend Ross maybe have never been away from home before or never traveled internationally before. We want to make sure this transition is very easy for you. So, you know, the island itself is about 67 square miles, lots of beautiful beaches. If you like to hike, snorkel, scuba dive, water sports, anything like that, it's all very easy and accessible to get to. Everyone there does speak English. The biggest difference in St. Kitts is you drive on the opposite side of the road, so that does take a little bit of getting used to. But a fun fact about St. Kitts is we actually have an overpopulation of West African green monkeys there. And they do outpopulate people about 2 to 1. So whenever you go out to lunch or you go to the beach, chances are you're probably going to run into some of the monkeys out there. And we actually have some pretty interesting research that takes place with the monkey population on the island that I'll tell you about in a few minutes. So I mentioned that we'll bring you to your on-campus housing for the first semester. And, you know, this isn't required to live on campus for the first semester, but we really do encourage it as it really kind of helps with the transition down there. So, you know, it's a collaborative environment. And we'll start off by saying that, you know, everyone that's attending Ross is coming from somewhere else. So I feel like by living on campus, you really get to know the cohort around you as you're starting this program. So the other benefit, of course, is by living on campus, you can walk to and from school every day. All of your utilities are included in your rent. All of your furnishings are included in your rent as well, everything down to your utensils. So it makes it a very easy transition to come down to the island. And it's great because there are study halls downstairs that you can utilize after hours. And again, I just think it really helps to kind of bring that collaboration together for the new students that are arriving on campus. If you do have a pet, that is absolutely fine. We know that you are vet students and you want to bring your pets. If you have a cat or dog that's under 35 pounds, then you can actually bring your pet on campus. And I should say, I really hope your cat's under 35 pounds. But anyway, you know, that's totally fine. You can definitely bring your animal on campus. And after the first semester, everyone's actually going to move off campus. And this is a transition that we also help with as well. So we have a housing department on our campus that works with the local landlords, and they vet these landlords to ensure that they're fully furnished, everything down to their utensils, they're Wi-Fi compatible, and they're in areas of the island that we know. So this allows students to live right across the street from campus if they still want to be in walking distance to school. The picture on the left there, that's actually Frigate Bay. That's about 15 minutes from campus, so it allows you to have a little more access to the beach, restaurants, shopping, things like that. It's still a very quick drive to get over to campus, but all of these options are available for students to live off campus. And again, if you're bringing your pet, let's say your pet is over that 35-pound mark for the first semester, you can actually live off campus for the first semester if you choose to do so. But it's a really easy transition to bring your animal down. They just need to be up to date on their vaccinations. And then once you get down to the island and you're on your off-campus housing, they just need to be quarantined in your house or your backyard for 30 days, and then they're good to go. So we do have quite a few clubs on our campus as well that you can get involved with. And again, I think this really helps to build that collaboration with the students around you as you find students who have you know, similar interests to you and what you like to do. So the first one I'd like to highlight is the SAVMA Club. This is a way to get involved with student government and different leadership opportunities on campus. They're heavily involved with the campus itself. So you can actually start off by joining this club, and then you can work your way up into the executive board, maybe run for a vice presidency or presidency. And like I said, it really gets you involved with campus and what we're doing there. But a lot of times, some of the board members might come back to the States for certain conferences they'd like to go to or things like that. So just a great way to kind of get involved in leadership while you're going through the DVM program. And then we do have a variety of other clubs that you can get involved with. We have about 30 in total. So some are very involved in animal welfare on St. Kitts. So for example, we have a PAWS Club. We have something called the Feral Cat Project that works with the stray cat population on St. Kitts. And they really kind of help with spay and neuter clinics around the island. It also gives you some more access to surgery and spays and neuters earlier on in the curriculum. If you want surgery to be more involved, or to be more involved with surgery, I should say, we do have a surgery club on campus. We do also have business clubs on campus. So if you want to maybe run your own practice at some point, you know, going to the business club, we have different people who come and speak to the club about, you know, what it's like running accounting and things like that. And then we have clubs that have absolutely nothing to do with vet medicine, because sometimes you do need a break from school. So we have a scuba club, for example. We have a country western dancing club. So again, these are various clubs that you can join. It's not required, but I think it really just kind of helps you, you know, acclimate to campus and get to know the cohort around you that's attending the same school. Okay, so that's a brief overview of your time on campus. Now we'll talk about the transition back to the United States. So these are the 24 schools that were affiliated with back in the U.S. And these are schools that we have contracts with. So in your 7th semester, which is your last one on campus, you'll actually sit down with the clinical dean, Dr. Kavanaugh, and discuss the options of where you can come back to in the U.S. and the criteria for each school. And then you'll pick your top 4 choices and be matched based on your GPA in vet school and the availability of the school back in the States. So assuming you pass the curriculum, you are actually guaranteed a rotation spot back in the U.S. And I will be honest in saying that most students are going to get one of their top 4 choices when they're coming back to the States. So if you're looking at this map, as you can see, it's really scattered across the country. K-State is a school you can come back to. Mizzou is a school you can come back to if you're kind of looking to stay local, back, you know, to your home state. But when you're making your selection, you know, one of the deciding factors here is, yeah, maybe region is where you want to, why you want to go to a certain school. But think of what type of medicine you want to focus on when you graduate. You know, each of these schools will have core rotations that everyone has to do. Internal medicine, emergency medicine, et cetera. But each of these schools will also have elective opportunities in different fields. So let's say equine medicine is something that you really want to focus on when you graduate. You might select a school that will give you more opportunities in equine medicine as opposed to something that's going to focus more on exotics or small animal medicine. So just something to think about when you're making the selection to come back to the U.S. And in addition to that, we have 6 clinical sites around the world that you can do rotations at as well. And these are also all AVMA accredited schools. So that means that you can go to one of these universities, do your rotations, take the NAVLE, and still be eligible to practice in all 50 states because they have that AVMA accreditation. So I think this is a great way to continue that study abroad experience. You know, you've traveled to St. Kitts for 2.5 years. Now you go somewhere else for another year, and then you can still come back and practice in the U.S. But I will tell you that we have enough clinical spots for all of our students back in the U.S., so you don't have to go internationally if you don't want to. So in regards to faculty, we have faculty coming really from around the world, and we do this because we want to have a very global experience at Ross. I think it really broadens the student's education by having this, sort of worldwide faculty down on campus. So, for example, our dean, Dean Callanan, he's actually from the UK and Ireland. Dr. Satoli in the top left there, he's from South Africa. We have faculty coming from the United States, from Australia, from different parts of Europe. So again, I think it really brings a broad experience to your education. And most of the faculty on our campus do hold a DVM. Some have PhDs, and then we have several board certified faculty members as well. So when it comes to accessibility, they are very accessible to you. So if you need to meet for office hours, you can do so. If you need extra time in labs, things like that, we can definitely open the labs open for you. In regards to just mentoring and, having support on campus, we have something actually called the Student Success Center, which is really designed to help students learn how to study in vet school. So we do one-on-one advising here. If you struggle on your first block exam, for example, we'll actually reach out to you and discuss what you can do to really bolster the next time you take a test. We have tutors on campus. We have TAs on campus. We have a counseling center on campus. So if you need to talk to someone about, adapting to island life or being away from family, the bottom line is we want to provide a lot of support for our students, as we do know that it is a difficult thing to go through a rigorous curriculum, being away from family, et cetera. So just know that while you're at Ross, you'll have a ton of support from our faculty and our staff. So I like to highlight some of the research opportunities that we have on campus. I think they're pretty unique to our school, and a lot of these opportunities that are listed here, you could take advantage of as a volunteer or a research assistant. You know, you can reach out to a professor about a certain project they're working on and then volunteer several days a week or a couple of times a month. But basically, the first semester, everyone will take something called the Principles of Veterinary Research. And this is a class that'll kind of introduce you to the different research programs we have going on at that time. So some of these I like to highlight. I mentioned the African green monkeys that we have on campus. With having an overpopulation, they do actually affect the farming community there. So we do a lot of work on how to control the monkey population to ensure that they're not, you know, hurting the crops there and whatnot. We also have found that these monkeys are getting Alzheimer's disease. So we're doing a lot of work with that. We also have a large leatherback sea turtle population on St. Kitts. And if you've never seen a leatherback sea turtle, I recommend going online and checking it out later. They're about 1,000 pounds or more. They're massive turtles that come up to the beach. And so the students like to monitor their habitat as they lay eggs, things like that. We have some work that's done with bottlenose dolphins. There's a donkey population on our campus that we do research with. So again, just different opportunities that you can look at while you're going through the DVM program. And if you want to take it the next step further, there's several options that you can look at as well. First, I'd like to highlight our One Health initiative. If you're not familiar with One Health, for example, I know a lot of us know about public health, especially right now in the current times that we're in. You know, One Health is really the correlation of humans, animals, and the environment and how we all coexist. So this can be topics from, you know, maybe deforestation, for example. COVID-19, I think, is a perfect example of what One Health is. So if it's something that you kind of like to learn more about, we actually offer a certificate program that you can take while you're completing your DVM that would allow you to take the course online. It's 15 credit hours. And once you complete that, you can actually take those credits and apply it to a master's program in One Health once you graduate from Ross. So that would also be online, and it's just something that you could basically graduate with the DVM and then finish a master's at a later time. So let's say you were really interested in one of the research projects that I mentioned, or a type of research that you want to focus on yourself. You can actually enroll in a master's in research that you can do in conjunction with the DVM. So this could be, you know, basically going side by side, doing a DVM and a master's, or you can actually intercalate it where you do maybe 1 year of your DVM, 1 year of a master's, and then finish your DVM and graduate with a dual degree. So again, none of these things are required. I really recommend volunteering or working as an RA first in research to ensure that it's something that you want to do and maybe take a look at some of the different opportunities that we offer. But it's something that you can take advantage of if you'd like to as you're going through our DVM program. So that's an overview of the program. Now I kind of want to walk you through the admissions process if you were to apply to Ross. So there's several different ways that you can apply to our program. Some of you might be familiar with VEMCAS, some maybe not so much. So I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about it. VEMCAS is a fantastic application service. It allows you to apply to multiple vet schools, kind of in a one-stop shop. It opens up in the spring. You can basically submit all your transcripts, GRE scores, everything else you need there. You click submit. You pick all the schools you want to apply to, you hit submit, and then boom, it goes out to all of us, and we process your application. So the thing to remember with VEMCAS is it does have a closing date. And every year it's September 15th or right around that date, about mid-September. Once VEMCAS is closed, you are unable to apply to state schools after that time until the next cycle opens up. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we actually have 3 start dates per year, January, May, and September. And we actually have rolling admissions. So let's say VEMCAS is closed for the season, or you didn't get your application submitted in time. You can actually apply directly through our website at any time throughout the year, and we can process your application for you. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility as to when you want to apply to our program if you do miss the VEMCAS cycle, or you're looking to apply it at an off time, if you will. So there's several reasons why we have 3 start dates. We do this to really ensure that our class sizes remain very balanced. As I mentioned earlier with the curriculum, we want to make sure that you have a lot of interaction with your professors, especially in the lab settings. So by having 3 start dates per year, it really does kind of balance out our class sizes. Also, it gives some flexibility as to when you want to start vet school. So of course, most students, look at September as the option because we've been going to school in September since we were in kindergarten. So that's kind of that traditional start date. But having a January or May class really is a benefit because it allows students who are maybe coming back to school to finish some prereqs and start they can start earlier if they'd like. Or a lot of students now are taking gap years to get more experience or take the GRE. So it allows you to, maybe midway through that gap year, you finish everything that you want and you want to start sooner. You can start in a January or May class, and you wouldn't have to wait for the September class to start. And then on the back end, when you're doing your clinical rotations, we have clinical spots that are held aside for each class that sits. So it means there would be no delay if you started in January or May to start in your rotations. You could go right in. And then these are this is the breakdown of your curriculum requirements that we're looking for. Pretty standard for most vet schools, so I won't spend a lot of time on this. If you have specific questions or you need me to review your transcripts or something like that, please email me and I can definitely answer those questions for you. But a couple that I will highlight for the math requirement, it would be stats or calculus. English is any sort of writing composition course. And then for your electives, this could be anything from microbiology, comparable anatomy, anatomy and physiology, intro to business, foreign language. So a lot of different options here. But I will say that we do require at least 48 college credits, including these prereqs, and then students can apply to our program. So it means you don't have to have a bachelor's degree if you'd like to start sooner. So it just gives you some different options as when you want to start vet school. So here's the admissions criteria that we're looking for each year. So I will say I've been with the school for 7 years. Next month will be 7 years actually, and I've interviewed a lot of students in my time. And I will tell you the admissions committee takes a very holistic approach when looking at students. So all of these factors will be weighed out when they're making their decision. So the biggest question I usually get is what's your minimum GPA and what's your minimum GRE score? So we don't look at minimums, but I would say our average GPA is probably right around a 3.2 with a GRE of about 300. But with that being said, we'll look at academic trends for students. So some students really struggle in school when they first start, large class sizes, don't really know how to study yet. Maybe they're working while going to school, things like that. But as their study skills improve, their grades start to improve. So academic trends can definitely benefit your application. In regards to the GRE, obviously we're living through COVID right now, and it's been difficult for students to get into testing centers or, take the test at home because of technical issues, things like that. So we've actually waived the GRE for this cycle. So that would be for January, May, and September of 2021. You can definitely still submit it if you feel that or if you've already taken it, or you feel like you can do well. It can sometimes offset some maybe other parts of your application that you feel you struggled in. But if you decide not to take it, that's absolutely fine. You do not have to submit a GRE score. So we'll look at where you went to school. We do look at your letters of recommendation. We require 2. One professional and one academic. The professional letter needs to come from a DVM. If you have more letters than that, please feel free to submit those as well. Any experience you have working with animals. Our requirement is at least 150 hours. We want to ensure that you've worked in a clinical setting and you understand what it's like to maybe work as a vet assistant, maybe you've shadowed, any sort of experience, definitely put that in your application. So our personal essay is actually exactly what VEMCAS requires as well. They have 3 questions that you're required to answer, and that would suffice our personal statement on our website as well. And then finally, if you are granted an interview, that would either take place with myself or one of my colleagues. It's about a 30 to 45-minute interview going through your academic background, the clinical work that you've done, your motivation to pursue vet medicine. And my role at the school is to write an evaluation for the admissions committee, and they're the ones who make the final decision. So just a couple things to tell you about the interview. This is an opportunity for me to get to know you a little bit. So we'll go through your academics and your clinical work, et cetera. But if you've done some really cool things in a clinical setting or in research, or you've gained leadership opportunities, talk about those things and highlight them in the interview. You don't want to come in overconfident or boastful, but I would say it's okay to, highlight some of the cool things that you've done. If you struggled in your academic career at any point or at some points of your application, please talk about what you've done to overcome those challenges. My goal is to advocate for you so the admissions committee understands your story. And then finally, what I will say with the interview is please dress professionally. And I know that sounds like a very basic concept, but I've interviewed students in t-shirts before, and that will go in my evaluation. The admissions committee is looking to see a professional setting, and this is a professional interview. So, and I would say that for any interview that you have, but just to kind of give you a heads up, definitely make sure you're dressed professionally for the interview. So there are 3 decision possibilities that can come back from the admissions committee. So there's acceptance, there's denial, and then we have something called the Vet Prep program. So Vet Prep is basically a program designed for students that we feel show potential for success at Ross, but maybe haven't fully demonstrated in their academic career, or maybe you've been out of school for several years. So students take 1 semester of these vet skill courses listed here, and if they pass the curriculum in Vet Prep, they are guaranteed a spot in first semester. So it's a really good bridge program to vet school for students that are right on the border, but we see the potential for success. It's got a strong pass rate. It's a very small class size, so it's an awesome opportunity if you are selected into this program. And then finally, this is the breakdown of your basic sciences and your clinical training. I will let you know this is the last slide, so if you guys have some questions coming in, feel free to go ahead and start typing those into the questions section. But you know, when you're looking at this number, you know, this is pretty comparable to out-of-state tuition or private university. So, but we do offer federal financial aid that you can apply for, and that can go towards your entire cost of attendance at Ross. So that would be your flights, your housing, your food, basically all of life in vet school. And if you're not familiar with Graduate Plus loans, for example, this is not based on what your parents make. So it means you can take out the full cost of attendance when you're filing for financial aid, if that's what you need to do. And then also we offer scholarships that students can apply for. And, you know, there's several different scholarships that we offer, and they change every semester. So you can find those on our website, or I can email that to everyone as well. But one I do like to highlight is the Alumni Legacy Scholarship. And this is a scholarship that you can take advantage of if you've had the opportunity to work with a Ross alum at some point, whether you shadowed or anything like that. If they can write you a letter of recommendation, you know, you can get a scholarship towards your tuition money. So, and then also as you're going through the DVM program itself, we do offer scholarships for students that they can apply for. So again, this is my contact information for you. You know, I like to kind of briefly go through the our program and the admissions process, because I really, I know the students usually have a lot of questions they'd like to ask. So I definitely want to open up that for right now. But as we're, you know, closing out tonight, please feel free to take down my information. And even if you're a few years from applying, definitely, you know, take my email address down or my phone number and definitely reach out with any questions that you have. So let me pull up the questions here. I see we've got a couple coming in. Are there classes for different specific specializations, or does everyone have the same classes throughout all 4 years? That's a really good question. So, you know, we don't actually track at Ross, so it's a very broad curriculum. So you're going to go through large animal medicine, small animal medicine, exotic animal medicine, really getting exposure to everything, because for several reasons. One, the NAVLE exam that you're going to take when you graduate is going to cover everything. So we want to make sure you're prepared for that exam. But also, you know, some students come into vet school, you know, with X amount of hours of experience. Maybe they've only worked in small animal or just large animal or whatever the case is. You know, vet school is really your time to discover what you want to do when you graduate. So we want to make sure that you have exposure to everything, so you don't have to pick a certain track at a certain point. Now, with that being said, if you have specific interests in things that you want to take advantage of while you're going through the basic sciences, we do offer elective courses that you can take in the program. We do also have a lot of clubs on campus that get you involved in certain subjects, such as the equine club, or we have a bovine club, we have an ophthalmology club, an avian club. So those can kind of get you involved. But I would say when you're, you know, making your selection for your rotation site, you know, again, you're not going to be tracking at that point, but that's when you can kind of select a school that's going to kind of gear you more towards the focus that you want to look at when you graduate. So next question, I was able to knock out some credits like math and English during high school. Would it still be recommended for me to take those courses before applying? So that's a good question too. If you've taken any courses in high school that have transferred to your college and they've accepted those transfer credits, we will accept those. So unless you want to take statistics again or calculus or any of those courses again, if your university has accepted those credits, we will accept those. So you don't have to take them again. Yes, so someone's asking if we can have the recording sent to them after this is finished. Everyone will get this recording sent out to you tomorrow, whether you attended the presentation or not. So you'll definitely be able to check it out at your leisure. Let's see, are there any classes or clubs revolving around rescue, welfare, or other vet med ethics? You know, definitely animal welfare. I mentioned the Paws Club and the Feral Cat Project. You know, a lot of those programs work around the island and Nevis. We do have different clubs that will actually go on conservation trips during your 2-week breaks. You have these 2-week breaks that you can come home for your break. You can stay on island, or you can go to South Africa, or we have a Vita Club, for example, on campus that goes to different parts of South America. We've had students go to Thailand to go to elephant sanctuaries. So you can definitely get involved with things that way. We do have something on campus called the Coral Crusaders, and they actually work with the coral reefs and some of the marine life off of St. Kitts. And I believe they do some work and rescue with some animals that have been injured or anything like that. So yeah, you can definitely get involved in welfare on campus and through the island if that's something that you want to do through the clubs. And then of course, our campus, we have a research center there that, brings in animals that have been injured and things like that. So that's actually done through our research programs as well. All right. Any other questions? And this is who I am. I don't like to put this up when the presentation is going on because you'd rather probably see that. But I just wanted to introduce myself. If I met you before, if I've been on campus, it's nice to see you again. But yeah, do you guys have any other questions that I can answer for you? I know that mental health is an important part in vet medicine. How does Ross handle this? That is a great question. So we take it very, very seriously. I mentioned we have a counseling center on campus, and that's a service that's offered to all students. So if you need to go in there on a weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever the case is, you definitely can do that. We have a lot of clubs on campus. We do a lot of things to get students involved so that they feel very included with the clubs we have at our university. But I would say we really encourage students to balance their life. So of course, vet school is your full-time job. You're not going to work while you're in vet school. You're going to be going to school throughout the day, 8 or 9 in the morning until 4 or 5 at night. Then you study in the evening with, study groups, things like that. But with that being said, we have a gym on campus. Some students do yoga on campus. There's lots of hiking. On Friday evenings, most students will finish exams, go down to the beach, and play in volleyball tournaments, things like that. So we definitely encourage you to take time away. You cannot study 24/7. Take breaks, go to the beach, hit up some of the great restaurants that we have down there, get involved in the culture, but really, really take time to yourself. And we highly encourage you to do so through the clubs, the different organizations we have on campus. And like I said, if you need someone to talk to, the faculty is very involved with students as well. So if you need to talk to one of your professors about, you're stressed out about a test coming up or something like that, they're definitely open to do that. And to be honest, the island's not very big, so you get to know everyone pretty well. So if you need someone to talk to, you're going to get to know your professors pretty well. So that's a really good question, though. Let's see. Any other questions I can answer for you all? Okay, well, I want to be aware of everyone's time. But again, let me close my camera here so you can see the screen if you need to take down my information. But please feel free to reach out with any questions you have down the road. And hopefully as the pandemic improves and things start opening again, I'd love to come back out to campus to, present to you guys again. I know we do have some local alums in, Kansas and Missouri, so maybe we can set something up where we actually have an alum that can come and talk to you all about their experience at Ross and what they're doing now. I always think that's really beneficial to be able to talk to someone who's gone through the program itself. But again, feel free to reach out with any questions, but I really appreciate your time tonight. And you guys all have a great night and stay safe out there. Yeah, my pleasure. Have a great day.